On this episode of The Process, we're going to talk about the designer's dilemma, what it means to be a graphic designer in the 21st century. Here we are in 2016, a lot of forces in play right now. In particular, the reason why we're having this conversation is, I'm wondering, do we have to make this choice? And the designer's dilemma is, do you eat and do soul-sucking work and sell out to a corporation, or do you starve and be happy being an artist? Is there a middle ground? I don't know. Stick around. Let me try this again.
I want you guys to listen to me.
Yeah.
I design sandwiches. My name is Jose Caballero and I talk about the designer business. I talk about a lot of stuff.
My name is Chris Doe and I talk about the business of design.
At the center of this operating system, it's about understanding.
Jose, can we just tell them what the show title is?
I hate you, dude.
You are watching The Process. Questions, you guys? Rachel and Michael, you want to chime in on this?
I want to ask you a question. Did you once say that it was a stupid mistake for you to start a business right out of school?
Yes.
I read that somewhere.
Yes. It's one of the regrets I have.
It's one of the regrets you have.
Yes, it is. Because I didn't know anything. I made a lot of stupid mistakes. It would make you guys cry. I lost more money by being stupid and inexperienced during a very short period of time than you could have imagined.
But don't you feel like running a business, this is kind of a school in a way? You learn from these, you know what I'm saying? Like actually, like I feel like sometimes in order to learn how to swim, sometimes you just have to jump in and you drown sometimes, but.
I agree with that. I was thinking about this and I was like, oh, just have like the what if. Like when times aren't good and times have not been good, it's been like, I don't want you to think it's like that.
Right.
I start to think, did I make the right decision? Did I marry the right girl? And, you know, it's like all those kinds of things. There's a young kid, I forget his name, but he's pretty brash. He's a sales kid. He's like 12 years old. I think you guys, he's like some Grant Cardone protege, whatever. He says, you know what poor is? It's like passing an opportunity repeatedly. And I was just like, okay, kid, all right. No, I like that though. Passing an opportunity repeatedly. It's because you make the mistake of building up some excuse why you're not where you're supposed to be. I wasn't, wrong family, I did this, I didn't go to that school. The list of excuses is infinite. It's infinite. It reminds me of a story that Jim Rohn shared. You guys know Jim Rohn, the business coach guru guy? Look him up, Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N. And you don't need to buy his book. It's great if you buy his book. He's already passed away. You can watch his YouTube video of him reading his book and it's freaking awesome, the whole thing. For like an hour and a half, he reads his book. It's wonderful. And he's a very plain-spoken guy. And he said something like he used to work at a car dealership. And he says, can you believe, he's complaining to his manager, can you believe this is all they pay for the work I do? And he goes, that's not all they pay. That's all they pay you. Do you think everybody gets the same amount? Because well, that's unfair. And he just started going on and on about all the excuses why it wasn't right. And he said, are you done with the reasons why? He said, did you forget one thing? Like you blamed everything. Did you forget one thing? He goes, no. He goes, you forgot to put you. You forgot to take responsibility for where you're at. So I just think like we're Jim in that car dealership when we've got 1,000 reasons why. It's this, it's that. I talk to people all the time. They got 55 reasons why they can't. Until you change that mindset, you might as well just be stuck at that car dealership.
Because here's the thing, right? It's about building trust and establishing yourself as an authoritative voice, but I think a big part of the hustle now, particularly for small businesses, is to put content out there and put your voice out there and assert yourself as a brand, like we're doing here today, right? This is part of like the hustle. Like it's how do you find that balance then between doing the work that gets you work and then talking about the work? You ask business people and they're like, well, I honestly spend most of my time just looking for it, and a very small fraction, or a surprisingly small fraction, actually doing it. So how do you find that balance between doing the work and then the building of your brand and the promotion of said work?
I love that question. You're not going to like my answer, but please, you guys go first.
I'm going to direct us to Michael.
You find someone that promotes the work for you.
There you go.
Done.
You do
Check
the work,
box.
and then you find somebody that will. Now the game has changed. A long time ago it was about just your work gets you work. It's not that way anymore. You and your work get you work. And you have to promote yourself more. Your personality, who you are, what you're made of. It's a lot more work than it used to be.
Well, I always attribute things to the web. I mean, I think that
Yeah,
our
that changed
electronic
the game.
our digital age has really opened up the audience. So in order to cut through the clutter, right? Because before, we would have, let's see, we would have a client base of maybe 50 to 60 companies we would call on every year, and that's it. No one else would have, we don't even care if anyone else has ever heard of us, but every year just call on, just a small group of clients. But now, because of the digital age, everybody knows everyone.
It's got to be 200 because you're going to get 3. The numbers have changed. You have to cast a wider net, kind of a thing, or a more specific net. So the game's a little different now.
You shouldn't go out of your way to promote yourself if you're not doing good work, right?
Hey, you know what I see most often now? Everybody's quick to post. They're not posting good stuff. They just want to get it posted, and I did it, and this kind of a thing. It's like,
The DrEvil age.
So?
I mean, Michael was telling me, we're in such a maker culture that we're all pressured just to make stuff and put it out there.
And you don't have to make everything. You can't do everything. A lot of young designers that I teach, they want to do it all. No, you're going to go out and do one thing specialized. When you get to be a creative director, you can guide people to do everything. You're going to have a staff and all these people. And that's what you're building up to. As a designer, you do one task, but as you grow, you're going to have people do more.
What if you're in Paul's shoes and you can't partner with somebody and you have to answer that question? What do you do then? Would you change any part of your answer?
Well, for me, like I said, that I would just keep doing the work until you feel like there's something to say. Projects are done to be learned from. I think you learn from every opportunity, and so once you learn something, then you can put something out there. But again, the maker culture and just say, I made it, that's just like putting your work on your mom's refrigerator, right? It's like, why don't you say something about it? Why don't you provide some insight or what you learned from it or how it makes things better for
you have to be more intuitive on how you're distributing it.
Again, trying to help people. Post it up because you're trying to help someone by giving them educating them or giving them some insight.
I'm going to ask you this question. You look in the mirror, you wake up and you look in the mirror. Do you see an entrepreneur staring back at you? Or do you see somebody who wants to have a job?
No, I know I've got it in me. It's to run my own shop. But I also know that building that reputation, that trust, that confidence, that relationship with clients, that takes time. I can't rush that. So I'll take the jobs first for now with the intention of world domination in, I don't know, like 2-3 years, something like that.
Okay. And that was a pretty evil laugh. It's like I wasn't sure if that was Dr. Evil or the penguin. Okay. If you're an entrepreneur, you have to realize what is the most valuable thing for you to do that other people cannot do. That's what makes you different. Okay, so Paul, we're not sure. We're thinking about that, right? And if you think about it, is it about making a logo? Because we got a lot of people who can make a logo. We got a lot of people who can make packages. Now we can argue all day and night subjectively which one's better, which font is better than the other, if the kerning was perfect or not. But that's amongst designers that we have these kind of debates. I have to be more careful about what I say in this one. Okay? So when I look at it, it's like your question says, how do I balance between going out to get the work versus doing the work? That tells me you're not sure if you're an entrepreneur. Because the entrepreneur says, I don't want to do the work, I cannot do the work because I can't get anywhere. The minute I stop hustling and selling, promoting and building a brand, building the relationship, is the minute I'm not an entrepreneur again. Because that's the work that could be done by somebody else. Sadly, I was talking to a very prominent individual at a design school. I can't reveal all these kind of information. It's like, I can get some guys to design this in the Philippines for $5 and it's going to be amazing. This scares me. This says the market is, what is it called, imploding. It's kind of crumbling around us. And we all, and if you guys have been working for long enough where you have a reference point, you'll see it's not trending upward, it's trending downwards. Classical design, the things that we're all trained to do and love and appreciate, it's going away. It's going away in terms of its value. So I'm there, I'm the entrepreneurial canary in the coal mine saying, you guys, it's poisonous in here. They're like, get out of the way, we're going in. So this is where I think about maker culture, and we need great people who are crafting things, but learning a little bit about the business and becoming more entrepreneurially minded will give you a leg up for some time. How much time, I don't know. Now, a lot of you guys are sitting there thinking, well, I didn't self-identify as an entrepreneur, I'm screwed. You're not. Because I think the future for designers and creative types is two things. One is entrepreneurialism, the other is authorship. If you're an author of content, it's back in your favor again. But if you're a service maker, service provider, it's a dangerous place to be in. Now, the walls will crumble and it will erode, and the very best of the best will have a longer time in the sun than the rest. But eventually, I think you can't fight the market forces. Even if you're the best, biggest, baddest company in the earth that does that thing, when everybody else is doing it for 1/10 of the cost, they'll say for 1/10 of the cost, it's not 10 times better. We're not getting 10 times difference. That's the good enough revolution, and we all are victims and participants in the good enough revolution, right? You guys know what I'm talking about? Wired article, read the good enough revolution, you'll understand why the military is replacing billion-dollar jets with drones. It gets the job done. Is it as bad as the payload? Does it fly as far? No, 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 but it kills people and it works. But it's at a fraction of the cost. GoPro cameras are not better than the cameras that you have, you know? And then it all erodes because we're okay. It's the crapification of everything. That's a technical term, okay? And you can fight it. You can be the stalwart, say quality above all, and you can be the champion. I admire and respect you if you can do that. I just think you're swimming against the tide, and eventually the tide will swallow you up. What I can do is be out there, find the person who has a problem, find the person who has a solution. Now both require a lot of art and skill. I'm not just saying it's like this, and it's just a random thing, right? You hire the wrong person, you're totally screwed. You miss deadlines, the trust is gone. Start over. You find those things and you put them together. The gap in between is where you survive and thrive. Your runway will be large. We live in an amazing time, you guys. There's very little barrier between you and the client. We have direct communication now with you and your fans. You want to do a Kickstarter project? You have access. It's all democratized right now, and it's wonderful. So here's what I'm going to do. If you're an artist, I'm not going to leave you out of this conversation. If you're true born bred, like I'm an artist, I live to make, I want to be like craftsmanship and all that, that's great. Here's what I'm going to say you do. Design something wonderful. Put that on your site. And put it on every site that you can put that thing on so you can be discovered. And then leak out little bits of your process and how you made that thing in the format and the medium that's most comfortable for you so it doesn't feel like work. If you're a video guy like I am, I make videos, right? If you're an illustrator, do a little live drawing, just show little bits of your progress and your process, and you'll onboard people. You have to let go of this idea, and this is horrible, this is like the nails on the chalkboard, of perfection. So here's the thing, F perfection. There's no such thing. You will onboard more people, be more genuine, and build clients and fans alike just by not being perfect. We don't post, we don't share because we think it's not right, it needs to be perfect, and the lighting isn't right. Well, the person is documenting their process, not as good as yours, is already blowing up. And that's how the world works today.
There's a thing, a misperception about design too. Everyone used to think that it's a white-collar deal. Design is a blue-collar deal. It's not about you, and it's never about you in design. It's always about the customer. It's like that in anything else. Bricklayers, masonry, it's the same deal. It may have its different relativity depending on, scale, but your mentality is the same.
So you're saying that designers, okay, so you either have to be an author or you have to be
an entrepreneur.
An entrepreneur.
I don't say you have to be.
Okay.
If you want to have a competitive advantage,
sure.
An unfair competitive advantage, that's what you need to do.
I still feel like there is a competitive advantage, is that what you said?
Yep.
In craft as well. Because I think that with your design, if you really get good at what you're doing, that you create an authorship with your design. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of really popular lettering artists, illustrators, graphic designers out right now. And it's because they have, I would say, a style, or they have a process that other designers are interested in, or they copy, or they're, you know, they just idolize. And in a way, they have authorship even though they're still doing design work. To me, that is more like a craft. And that, to me, sits almost in the middle of the entrepreneurship and the authorship.
Right. We had Gemma O'Brien here. She has a huge following, right, all over the world. She goes and speaks, lectures, and paints murals at Facebook or wherever she's going. She's kind of crossing over from being a service person to becoming an artist because she's built up a cult of following. And she's done a really good job of documenting her process, whether it's live painting, workshops, lectures, the things that establish her as more than.
Right.
Because you got to know this too. You just go on Behance, you'll find a gazillion lettering artists. They're not all great, but a lot of them are really good, okay? And if you spend enough time, you will find them. And they're all over the world, and you can hire them all for not a lot of money, okay?
Okay.
So what she's doing is the playbook, which is she has, I don't know, 100,000 followers on Instagram. I don't know what it is. It's a lot.
It's 120.
120. So she has a lot of followers, and it's incredible. And you see whenever she posts, there's a lot of engagement. So the kinds of things that she's making is what her audience wants.
Right.
So now she's moving away from making something for one person to like as to her fans and her community.
Right, but
she keeps servicing them. She's going to do really well.
I don't think it's because she's sharing her process, because there are a lot of really bad lettering artists who are sharing their process as well.
Okay.
I don't think that's what sets her apart. I think it is her craft, her deep, deep interest, her deep, deep expertise in what she's doing.
No argument there.
Okay.
I don't want to see somebody making crap.
I know, but you're saying that if you just design and you release your process, then you'll get there. I don't believe that.
Well,
I'm glad you said that. Let me clarify.
Okay.
I don't think that's what I meant to say if that's what I said. I said all things being equal. A great lettering artist working in a cave doesn't build his audience, doesn't become an author of content, to a person who's equally as good, who is great at documenting their process and sharing and building a fan group. That's what I was saying. I'm not saying a crappy person who or documents their process is going to become thermonuclear, but they actually have a better shot. We all know, and I've said this before, the best designers do not always win. It's not always dependent on that.
Right.
Because you guys would win all the time. And in some respect, we would win. And you all would win all the time. It's not that. And you see the finished product, you're like, whoa, how do they get the job? And Michael said this because of name recognition or a number of other things. And how do you get your name out there? You have to start becoming, thinking of what you do as building an audience, a relationship with lots of people.
a lot of designers are introverts.
Yes.
They're not going to be in this position up here. And you have to put yourself in that position to promote your work, you know, and to constantly connect and keep advertising yourself and all that. And for a lot of us that are introverts, that's not our first instinct. We don't want to do that. We don't want to be center stage.
I tell my students this, it's like, it is a lot for me to be up here. It's a lot for me to get in front of a large group, and there's skills that you develop over time. So wonderful things have started to happen because I stopped fighting this thing and I embraced it. I try to encourage everybody at the company, you guys, you need to develop your social presence. It's not for me, it's for you. So they're like, I don't know what to say, I don't have anything to say. I'm like, well, here's what I do. If I share this with you, maybe you guys can do the same, all right? I'm an information junkie, and I can't remember where I heard something, read something, so I have a process, and I like to read books, but I don't, honestly, it's hard for me to sit down with the time that I have with kids, life, and work, and all that stuff, just sit there and read a book from cover to cover. So this is how I literally read a book. I have this pen, you know, okay, jump on Keynote, let me finish the graphic, done, let me figure out what I want to say about it, there it goes out. And so people are thinking, oh, I'm trying to like contribute to the world and I'm giving you bite-sized pieces of information. I'm not. It's just my diary. Just so happens you're reading my diary with me as I write it. Because I want to be able to remember, this is just my notebook. It's all that is. So I create different buckets for different ideas so I can find what the crap I was thinking or was inspired by later on. Right? Because I'm like, what is that one quote about that guy who's like, is it Stephen Covey? And it's there. What's this one little thing, right? I just find something that I enjoy. I process it my own way just by the fact that you translate it from words or an image and you redraw, it becomes a little bit of you. You insert yourself in there and you put it out there. And it's just for you. If you do that, you'll start to get traction, I think. That's the most painless way I know how to build up your audience, especially if you're not a celebrity, a super hot girl, a long-haired bearded guy. If you're not a great lettering artist, you know, and you're not an adventure traveler, photographer person.
You know, a good friend told me once that to be a good designer, you have to accept change. You have to accept change, because it's coming whether you like it or not. And if you can adapt to that change, the better off you're going to be.
Change is inevitable,
Yeah.
but progress is a choice. Okay, guys, I'm going to try to wrap it up with one more question, and I think we haven't hit this yet. And if there's anything else you guys want to talk about, I'd be happy to, but I'm going to try to wrap up the show here.
I consider myself multidisciplinary, and sometimes I wonder if it hurts me. And so I was just wondering, like, is there a better way to do it? Should I not be multidisciplinary? Is it better for a designer to focus instead?
So what do you guys think about to specialize or not to specialize, assuming that your ideas are good? Should you specialize or not?
I believe in, I think it's called the T, I don't know, right?
T-skill.
T-skill?
Yes.
Is it?
It is.
You really, really go deep on one thing, but you know shallow amounts of everything else. I feel like as a designer, when you have multiple clients, I mean, what's really lucky about our industry is that we get to take on different clients with different backgrounds. If you are an entrepreneur, if you're a designer who takes on clients. I mean, it's not like a heart surgeon who says, oh, you know, today I want to, you know, put together a leg, or I want to do some brain surgery, you know, let's just learn something else. I mean, as a designer, you get to learn about different things and take a fresh point of view. So because of that, if you know a little bit about everything, it helps to feed the result of your design.
Chris made a lot of money doing motion for 20 years. Now he's having to pivot because the market's changed, all the design has changed. We're having to do that too. So if you go drill deep on something and do it for a while, be prepared to pivot if the market changes, because it will. So it's very difficult. You will make more money if you specialize, right? And it's very rare for a master designer to stay on the other part of the T and just, you know, he could design anything, a boat, a car, you know, whatever. And that's rare. But really to get going, you have to establish yourself as specializing first. We did annual reports.
You do.
Yeah.
I mean, for a portfolio, I mean, art directors are looking for you to be really good at one thing.
Design industry is difficult. I mean, it changes fast too. Would you agree?
Yeah, totally.
It's not like manufacturing, you know, where it takes 5 years to pivot or whatever, but design is different. It's faster.
We would love to dabble in this and that if clients hired us. It would be great. Variety is the spice of life. So my answer is this. Externally, you should specialize. Internally, you should be as diverse as possible. So let me clarify that. The outside world needs you to focus. But what you do on your time and how you diversify and do all these kind of interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary things, that's up to you, and I think that's a really good thing to do.
That's a good answer.
But you have to be able to make it clear for people to pull you out from a crowd and say, what's your name again?
Maria.
Maria. That Maria does X really well. I love to learn, and learning is what keeps me alive, inspired, and relevant and valuable. Because I pick up stuff all over the place. Be careful when you hang around with me, because your ideas will be mine tomorrow. If I read something today, it just becomes part of how I speak. And the faster I can grab all these kinds of things, the more powerful I feel. There's all these little bits of information, then you walk into the room and you hear some problem, and you're like, oh, bananas and sharks. There's some relationship here, and I know just the right banana shark person. And I'm building these webs, these neural networks, right? So that makes me, first of all, able to relate to people that I have no way to relate to. I just listen, and I'm listening, and I'm listening, and ask more questions, and somewhere in there, a door opens up, maybe just a little bit, a sliver, and you can walk in there because you know a little bit of something. Okay? So here's what I say. When you learn stuff, be a deep diver. You know, go in, learn as much as you can, then move on to something else. Because all that surface level stuff, it doesn't help you. Okay?
The whole answer to the whole question of this topic that we're talking about tonight is balance. It always comes back to balance. You have to deep dive to get money, but you have to take side jobs to be happy with your own creativity. We all do that, right? We always will in some way or another. So it's just a matter of balance.
Awesome. So let's end on that. First of all, I want to thank you guys for being here as part of live taping. This is the largest group. Typically, we film in the other studio. So thank you for coming out here. And please put your hands together and help me thank Rachel and Mike for being here too. Good, Aaron?
We ran out of whiskey, though.
You ran out of adult beverage?
No, I have more whiskey in my
Introvert medicine.